Hello and welcome everyone to today's presentation of Polygiene. My name is Stefan Knutsson. I'm an equity analyst following the company here at ABG. And with me today I have the CEO of Polygiene, Ulrika Björk. Welcome, Ulrika.
Thank you.
And you can start the presentation.
Okay, thank you. You can take next slide, please. So welcome to this presentation of the Polygiene Group. I am Ulrika Björk and I'm the CEO of the company. I will, the next 20 minutes, first introduce you to Polygiene as a business case, and then I will finalize with some highlights from the Q2 that was released a couple of weeks ago. And Polygiene have a mission of enable and inspire people to a mindful living. We operate in two different kinds of business areas. One is where we operate in the textile industry, working with stay fresh solutions for the textile industry, and we want to change the way we view clothes from consumables to durables. By prolonging lifetime of garments, we know it's having a huge positive impact on the environment. The other business area is about to protect surfaces and material from contamination of virus and bacteria. And with responsible technologies based on advanced chemistry, we can enable consumers to change the behavior and make a difference for the coming generations. So next slide, please. Just to walk you through very brief the timeline, we're a company founded back in 2006. It was actually because of, in the wake of the SARS epidemic in China, we were founded as a product in an R&D department in Perstorp Group, where we found this product that was very efficient against virus and bacteria. So we started out in the healthcare sector, but we moved very quickly into the textile industry when we heard that the sport industry had problems with odor in training clothes. So when we tested that and we saw very good results, we started to penetrate the market of sporting goods. We have a major player like Adidas and Patagonia come aboard, like open up the market for us in US and also expansion to Asia. So in 2015, the board decided to invest in the brand and in the organization. So we raised about 63 million SEK to build the company. In 2016, we were listed at First North in Stockholm. And we also had breakthrough in other segments like home textile and lifestyle and fashion. And in 2018, we had major changes in the company. I was appointed as CEO in January 2018, and the board took a decision to change the position of the company. So from being the odor control company, we now will be a company that has solutions for the textile industry, for sustainable solutions. And we also started to invest in R&D and innovation. And in 2019, we launched a new technology called Odor Crunch. And we also, in 2020, we launched another technology, a antiviral technology called Viraloff. And we also finalized the year 2020 with the acquisition of Admaster. And they was the former supplier for Polygiene, so we had a partnership for more than 15 years together. And since they are operating in the hard surface business, where Polygiene started once, we now connected the dots and went back to the roots. So now we have the Polygiene Group containing both textile treatments and also hard surface treatments. Next slide, please. So the offer to the market consists of three important components. Of course, it's the technology itself. But then Polygiene also invests a lot in the marketing. And we want to create consumer understanding and help our brand partners to communicate the function to the end consumer to create a pull in the market. And then we have the support and service, of course, because this is something that we're very proud of, that we follow the brand partners from the day we sign the contracts until the clothes are in the store or in their online shop to be sold to the end consumer. So we are with the partners all the way. And that is unique for us. If you compare to the competition, maybe they have the technologies in place, but then the end there, and we continue, and the journey starts for us when we have the technology applied in the textiles. Next slide, please. I will walk very briefly through the different kind of technologies we have in the portfolio. We have the biostatic, it's an antibacterial treatment for textiles, and it's based on a natural silver salt, and it prevents the bacteria to grow in the fabric. And we know that it's the bacteria who causes the odor. So without no bacteria, there will be no odor. We are treating the fabrics in an existing water bath in the production of the fabrics. So it's a very easy implementation for the brand to actually apply this. We have existing water baths anywhere in the process, and there will be no more cost on the environment or for the brand. So the barrier is quite low to start. We have promises that we promise the function lifetime of the garments, meaning more than 30 washes, then you still have the effect of the function. And of course, we test against all standard methods. Next slide, please. And then we have the antiviral that we launched last year. It's based on the same active substance, but you have different kind of test methods to achieve the antiviral efficacy. And we, of course, use ISO standard test for this as well. And it's have mainly the same application process, and it's also effective for more than 30 washes. And it's very important to be clear on what the claims. We are not doing any health claims. We only claim that we protect the treated article. And that's very important when you work with chemistry and the claims to be regulated and follow the compliance. Next slide, please. And this is the odor absorption treatment that we launched 2019. It's called Odor Crunch. And that works a bit differently from the antimicrobials. This is a chemistry that absorbs odor molecules and break them down so your nose can't detect them. And this one is very good in combination with the antimicrobials, because this one also takes care of odors that already exist and coming from the outside, like cigarette smokes and cooking fumes and other odors. So the combination is quite demanded, and we have a lot of partners working with the combination. Next slide, please. And then we have the antimicrobial treatments for the hard surfaces, and we can treat all kinds of materials. We are plastics, in paints, in paper, and in glass, and all kinds of material. It's also based on a silver ion, and it prevents the bacteria to replicate. And we can go into anywhere in the production phase, any stage, we can put the additive inside. And we work with tailor-made solutions. So if you are a company and want to treat a specific kind of material, we tailor-made this formula for them, so it fits the purpose. And there are also, of course, standard test methods using with these master batches. Next slide, please. So these are the two brands we build. We have the Biomaster brand for protection, and this is the one we acquired from Admaster in the beginning of this year. And then we have the freshness side, which is the Polygiene Stays Fresh Solutions. And these are the two brands we are building and investing in. And we also have other kind of technologies in the companies, but I will leave them on the side because they are a minor part still. So I just will talk about these two brands. Next slide, please. The next step, first it was the technologies, and then we have the marketing, and that is how we can add value to the partners. And we have a lot of different marketing activities. We work together with them because it's very important when you are marketing an invisible technology, you need to communicate and get the end consumer to understand what is the benefit, why can I wear more and wash less. They need to understand why. And then you need to give them the communication and the branding correctly. And that is where my team supports the partners. Next slide. And this is some categories where Polygiene Stays Fresh technologies can be applied into. It's home textile, sports, lifestyle, fashion. Bags is quite common now because of the benefits of prolonging lifetime of bags. Sometimes, like these Camelback, they need to throw them away because they are stinky after a while. But with Polygiene inside, you can prolong the lifetime. Next slide, please. And for biomaster protection, there are several industries where we can apply and where we can add a value. It's the food and catering industry. We have education, healthcare, manufacturing, and transport is one that is growing, and also home and leisure. So basically all kinds of materials you have in the environment every day in your daily life can be treated with Biomaster. Next slide, please. Yes, and the third part of the offering is the global team that we have around the world. We are located in all strategic regions where we need to be close to our brand partners or close to the production. We have subsidiaries in UK, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. We are 42 FTE in the group, and we have an extensive agent and distributor network around the world helping us to promote and sell and be ambassadors for Polygiene and Biomaster. We also have a global technical and marketing support team with a local presence. That is very important when you do marketing, because even if we have a central marketing, we need to adjust for local differences. So that is huge to have that in place in the right time zone with the right cultural values and everything. And then it's of course the compliance and the regulations. When you work with chemistry, it's so important that you stay on the right side of these regulations. So that's very, very important to support our brand partners, what they can say and what they can't say. Next slide, please. Yes, this is just a summary of the success factors for the Polygiene Group. The vision, more relevant than ever, we have both the awareness and the demand for antimicrobials, since we are in the middle of the pandemic, is relevant, and also the sustainability message into the textile industry is more relevant than ever. We have the history, a long history, make us a reliable and trustable partner. I mean, Polygiene's been operating more than 16 years, Admaster for more than 20 years. It's significant experience we have. The technology is comprehensive. We can treat, basically all kind of materials. And the ingredient brand that we build is differentiate us from the competition. This is where we have the value. This is where we can create and have the potential to grow faster than the competition. And then we have a very strong partner list, and that shows that we add value to them. Otherwise, they will not continue working with us and they will not continue to promote us. We have a good marginal structure, even if it's challenging now a little bit about how it is in the supply chain at the moment. I will come back to that when I talk about the Q2, but otherwise it's a good, profitable margin business. The business model is scalable. We don't have a lot of fixed assets. We don't do the production ourselves. We're working with third parties. It's make that we are very asset light, and that's why we can grow and scale up the business without adding a lot of fixed cost. And then the biggest assets of the all is, of course, the organization and the team. I have an excellent global team that is super, super good and valuable for the company. Next slide, please. Yes, and this is just a slide to show that we have new members in the board. We have 6 members, and the newcomers from this year, it's Paul Morris to the right. He's founder and the CEO of Admaster. Before he sold the company, he was the CEO, and he is now also the biggest shareholder in Polygiene with more than 12% of the company. And then we have Pamela, who also joined in May 2021, and she is the sustainability expert from Switzerland. And she is awesome to have on the journey now, since we want to leverage this messaging and to focus more on this in the company moving further on. And then next slide. So we will move into the Q2. You can take next slide. So some highlights and takeaways from the Q2. We have another strong quarter with a profitable growth. This is like the third quarter with really, really good growth. You can see how we actually taking step by step on the path we want to be on. We had a sales of 171% plus, but that was of course with not Admaster's figures last year. But if you look at the organic growth at Polygiene, we had 47% growth in the Q2. And if you adjust it to dollars, like you have dollar for dollar, it's actually 65%. So the volume is up significantly. And then on Admaster side, they have an organic growth of 77.5%. And that is really, really, really good to see. And this is, of course, the result of the agreements and the new customers coming aboard. And we also see that we get this return now of what we are expecting. We had an EBIT result of 10 million, and I think that was exactly the same as in the Q1. We have a positive cash flow. It's 5 million in the period. It's really good. But we also see continuous challenges in the supply chain, and we can see that on the margin in the Q2. And it's both the transport and the logistics. It's the freight prices that increase, like sometimes double the price that it was previous to the COVID. But we also see increase in the raw materials because there are deficits and there are a shortage on some kind of polymers. They raised the silver price because it's been, if you look at the silver price the last year, you can see that somewhere it will hit us. But it's so small amounts that it was not huge, but still. And we are working on to raise the price and adjust the price to the customers as well, something we haven't been doing for 5 years. And that will be effective from 1st of August. We see repeat orders from agreements we signed that started out very small last year, coming back this year with bigger volumes, and that is what we want to see, and that is what we're aiming for. It is this recurring business that's coming back over and over. And then we had a huge project with a new branding platform that we set the structure, and that was an investment of one-time off of 1 million in the period. And now we are moving into the implementation phase in the coming quarters. So this is some highlights. You can take next slide. Yes, and this is just the Q2 and the year to date. And I just want to comment that is interesting is that the rolling 12, if you go from now end of June and 12 months back, we are on a pace of 175 million SEK, both companies together. And it's important to see that in the light of when we did the acquisition, we had a rolling 12 after September last year of around 130. So we can see we actually took the step now and leverage. And as you can see on the graphs, you can see that the second half of the year is historically at Polygiene bigger months than the first half year. So what we are facing now is that we will move into Q3 and Q4 that actually have normally a bigger volume than the first half year. So it looks quite good, I would say. Next slide, please. I think you can skip those two because, yeah, I write about this in the report, so you can skip this one too. Yes, I just want to use my last 3 minutes to talk about some focus areas that we are working on now and the coming months. We have the implementation, as I said, of the branding strategy. And it's actually how we can present ourselves in the market as one company, Polygiene Group. And as you can see on the picture here, we have 2 different kind of messaging, 2 different kind of websites today. And the project is how we can merge that to look logical and that it have a good messaging and a good position in the market. So that is for the coming month. And I'm really happy that we yesterday announced the new CMO in the company, Sean Tyndale. He will start in a week. And this is the first project that will land in his lap. But I saved it for him because this is so important for our future. So I really wanted to have somebody on board to manage that. And then we also strengthening the sales force in the both teams now, investigating where we need to maybe strengthen the sales force because the demand, to meet the demand out there. The integration continues. We had a really good first month together with Admaster to investigate where we can find the synergies between us. And there are a lot of synergies. And we started in the back end because we have a lot of common because they were our suppliers before. So we have some really good findings that we work on that will be continuous moving forward. M&A is always important to look into. I mean, we can see what Admaster did to the group. We are approached by other players. And of course, we investigate everything that could be interesting and add a value to the group. But it needs to fit in, and it also needs to have some kind of, need to bring something to the group to be interesting. So that is something we look into. And the product development, it's also it's of great importance if you want to be market leader in this field of stays fresh and protection of surfaces. We need to look into what is the next step. So that is also a very focus area at the moment. And then I also work on the budget for next year, of course, now. It's starting now in October, and we will also launch an official business plan that will having two numbers out in the end of this year, where we're heading, where can I see the company in 2025, and present an EBIT margin as well. So like two numbers we will communicate to the market. I think exactly 20 minutes. Thanks.
Perfect, Ulrika. Thank you for the presentation. And I would like to start with asking you, obviously, you have a very strong momentum in the business right now. But how do you view the long-term outlook for the industry in general when we enter a more normal state? Yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking about antiviral treatments, I think. Like
yeah.
One of the... Yeah, exactly what you said. We had like a huge momentum last year when we launched the technology very early. We see, of course, it's not that crazy hysterical like demand that was last year, but we still see a demand. And of course, the partners we signed up with last year are progressing and continue with this viral treatment. So what I can see moving on is that this will be something that we will use for prevention, because this is not the end yet, and there will be new viruses. And now we can prove, and we know that we are very effective against the viruses, and especially I think in the protection side of the business, but also in textiles. But I think in public spaces, if you go to hotel, restaurants, transports, there are a lot of areas that should be very, very good to be treated with this kind of technology. We just need to package it right together, Polygiene and Admaster.
Yeah.
So no, we're not seeing that this will disappear because of the pandemic is over.
And it also seems that the viral off area has also increased the awareness in your other business in the biostatic or stays fresh area. Would you agree with that? And how do you view that market in general right now?
Absolutely. I mean, we got so much media last year, and we got so much exposure. We actually went to Good Morning America, and that's huge. So we had a lot of exposure. Of course, that will, get attention for the other things we are doing as well. And what we see now this year, and I had a slide on that we lost 25% of the antibacterial business last year due to the cancellation of production because the overstocks and the lockdowns. Now the sporting companies that survive this, they are increasing incredible, and we are on that road together with the partners we have. So that's good. The viral off is still there. We sell a lot, but the share is lower, of course, because of the bigger impact on the bacterial business.
And how would you say that like the competitive landscape look like, and how big is Polygiene in this niche market?
It depends what you mean with the market, because if you just look at the technology, there are other players out there, big chemical companies, but they only sell the chemistry, and then it's over. But Polygiene is building this ingredient brand and actually want the consumer to create a pull for them. And we are not many who do that. I think Polygiene is actually one of the companies who are doing it seriously and really have a message and want to create the movement and create the awareness at the end consumer. But of course, there are some players in our size, or maybe a little bit bigger and smaller as well, who are operating in this kind of same customers. But if you look at the list of partners, we actually are the preferred one with the premium brands that we want to achieve, at least in the Polygiene business. So I think the competition is good to have. We are many companies talking about the same thing, that spread the message. So that is nothing we feel or like in the daily life. No.
Do you see an opportunity then to grab market share from these chemical companies that are very huge, that doesn't have this specialized offering?
Absolutely. I mean, what I said before is the invisible technology, and if you don't communicate it, it's very hard for the consumer to know. So I think we are on the right path to grow this business with the awareness, and especially now when it's all about sustainability in the textile industry.
Interesting. And you also mentioned that you keep on strengthening the organization, most recently with the new CMO. Would you say that this was the last piece in the puzzle, or do you expect more key hirings here in the short term?
This one is actually the vacant post, because we have Mats who he left us last year, so I had like an interim solution just. So this is absolutely a key recruitment. And then, as I said before in the presentation, we can see some strategic markets where I want to strengthen the team. It could be in Asia, and also when we have now Biomaster also to move that brand out in the world, because today Admaster is working only from UK, but I have my global teams, so we should use them to get more feet on the ground. So it could be more salespeople.
Perfect. And then lastly, you mentioned M&A as a focus area going forward. Have you identified any specific type of acquisition that you're pursuing, or what would you look to add to the group right now?
We are not actively looking like we have scouting every day, but we sometimes we come across interesting prospects. But as I said before, it needs to fit into the group, the Polygiene group of enabling and inspire to mindful living. That is like the umbrella, and if it fits there, we should definitely explore it. But it's not for the sake of M&As. It's not like a key priority for itself. It needs to fit and add value.
Perfect. It will be very interesting to follow your journey here, and I would like to thank you for coming and presenting with us today, Ulrika.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.